Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about one particular drone, the DJI Spark. There it is, the DJI Spark. No, just kidding. This is the Tello. I brought this little guy out here just to show you the size comparison. This is a very small drone. Another drone that I recommend that has DJI components but is not a DJI product. It is a Rise product. But this is not what this video is about. It's about the Spark. And like I said, for size comparison, for those of you who've seen the Tello at Walmart, very small. It's not that much, the Spark is not that much bigger. That's how small this thing is. Now, I'm emphasizing how small it is because that is part of the reason why I love this drone, because size is everything. We all know that we live in a world right now where the society is not quite caught up with drones. There's a lot of drone haters out there, okay? So if you get something bigger, it's more intimidating. People, a lot of locals will more than likely approach you just to harass you, trying to preach to you that can't be there or whatever. Obviously, if you're flying drones, you would know your rules, right? But they don't take that into account. They think you're stupid. But since we're in that topic, I just want to bring up, there's two classifications I like to classify drones. Okay. The toy grade, which none of these fall in that category, and then the hobby grade. Okay, toy grade being, to me, air hogs is toy grade. Stuff that's not locked up at Walmart is toy grade. Stuff behind glass is usually hobby grade, just to make it simple, right? Now, I'm not bashing against air hogs. They do have their place in the market, but I'm just saying, these are more hobby grade to me. And this, a lot of people are saying this is your intermediate drone. What you call it, budget drone. And this is your, I guess if you're coming from the like DJI Inspire or any of the Mavic series, the Pro, the Air, this would be downgrading, right? Anything from here to here. But to your average consumer, this is not your budget. To me, this is budget. This $100, 120 on Amazon with remote. That's budget. This is more intermediate to me. Because I will never spend, that's just my opinion, okay? I won't spend a toy that much, that $800, $1,000, for the simple fact that this can do everything I want it to. And I'm about to point out what those are, okay? Because price, like I said, is everything. The more expensive you buy something, the more it costs, the more it's worth in value, the less likely you're going to have fun with it, because you're afraid to get down and nitty and gritty. You're afraid to crash it, to lose it. Okay, as I'm not saying it will be easy if you like hung this up in a tree, that you can just go, it's only $500 and walk away. But I'm saying it's easier to swallow than a $1,000 drone stuck in a tree, right? Get my drift? Anyway, so size is everything. One, intimidation factor. Less likely locals will approach you and harass you about it when it's flying around. Less attention, obvious stuff. Okay? And it's built like a tank. Okay. Like I said, I come from RC heli community. This is the T-Rex 450. Like I said, I had a T-Rex 700, which is 90 size heli, T-Rex 600 Nitro, and this is the 450, a smaller one. Well, look at size comparison. But anyway, I brought this puppy out because in a heli community, we're all about trying to expand the hobby. We're trying to get hobbyists into the hobby. This is what this video is all about, guys and gals. I'm just here to get people into the hobby. Don't get intimidated by or the wrong information sway you to not get one, or people scaring you that you can't enjoy it. I'm just trying to, change your mind about that. If that's where you're at, you're on the fence about it. But this is the reason why I downsized from a 90 size heli to this size heli, for the same reason. Okay, because it's intimidating. I always have to fly at an AMA official, field, so I won't get harassed by cops or people. And public safety is everything, right? Safety is everything. But same thing goes with drones. Okay, the bigger you get, the more you're limited to where you fly it, if you actually care about the law. Okay, and that's another point I want to bring out, because a lot of people dog this thing because it can only go 1.5 miles, I think it's where it's rated. They're like, that's it? Okay, do your research. If that's something that's going to be an icebreaker for you, because to me it's not. Because you got to really know your rules and regulations, state and the FAA laws, of having your drone in the line of sight. I don't know about you, but I can't see my drone in 1.5 miles or beyond that. Okay, you're more flying FPV, first person view mode, and the law says in the line of sight. You can't go above 400 feet. So why would you want a drone that goes 5 miles away anyway? I'm just trying to bring out point across. You might have your own reasons. Like if you're a mountain climber, you want the drone to, do a 360 all the way around the mountain. I guess there's a place for that. But again, to your average user, they're bashing this thing because it can't go farther than 1.5 miles. But really, don't let that be an icebreaker. Okay, don't let it be an icebreaker. And now I'm gonna, I know I mentioned the way it's built like a tank, so that's important, especially to, if you're new to the hobby, and the ease of use. Okay, I'm gonna mention that. Under this flap, you have access to micro USB port, okay, and a micro SD card. It's a removable micro SD card. Okay. And for the obvious, I like removable micro SD in case this thing plunges into the water. You don't lose all your footage. You get your SD dried up. It's usually pretty good. Internal memory would be nice. People dog it because, it has no internal memory. What if I forget my micro SD? But think about it. If this plunges into water and it's internal memory, usually that footage is gone, right? Micro SD is better to me. I mean, we all have our reasons, but again, being practical, micro SD to me is just better. And coming from a heli community, we always do pre-flights anyway, so I wouldn't even forget my micro SD. And if you did, that doesn't mean your day's over. You still can fly around. You just can't take video. It's not a deal breaker. And again, I'm just backtracking here, but because it's micro USB port, right? I'm stirring here. Because it's micro USB, that opens up a whole new door to, like, we all either own micro USB cables laying around, right? For Android users, you can basically charge this on the fly with your cell phone chargers, with power bank, you name it. It's endless. Let's say you're in a hurry, you drop this in your backpack, you forgot your controller, you still can fly on your phone. Hardly anybody forgets their phone, right? Because that's our lifeline right there. You can fly it on your phone. It also does hand gestures, if worst case scenario. And you can, if you're going long trips or whatever, you got to just charge it while you're getting to where you got to go. Micro USB, really nice. You can charge it straight off to the drone. Now, I mention that because some drones, like the Mavic Air, has a USB-C port, but you cannot charge the drone that way. You have to remove the battery and put on a separate charger. Okay, that's only for data transfer only. Some drones are that way. Okay, some people don't point that stuff out, but that's why this to me is more practical. If you forget anything, you don't have to worry about bringing all this equipment. Basically, grab your drone, your phone. You don't even need your phone. Grab your controller, You're not dead in the water if you still got a, or a sitting duck. I mean, you're not a sitting duck if you forget your battery charger, as opposed to the other drones. You know, you can just charge it on the fly, right straight to the drone. Okay. So that's what I mean by being practical. And the ease of use. This thing's so easy to fly. It really is. I'm going to come up with another video of, because, you know, you can fly this, like I said, with a remote, with a phone, or both. And I'm going to show in that video how to swap between the two, like from phone to remote to both. Then another easy way, because a lot of people I've noticed have problems or issues with connection issues when they swap back and forth like that, and you know, they don't understand the process. I will simplify that, okay, on another video, a separate video. But on that video, I would just simplify it to the most basic way to understand it, so you know how to do it, you know, without freaking out, and get flying so you can have some fun. Another thing I want to point out about why this drone is really nice is third-party support, guys. Third-party support. You go to I'm not bashing Unique or anything, okay? I'm not bashing all those other products. I just know DJI in particular, most of their drones have a lot of good third-party support. By that I mean, for instance, this drone came with this case, right? This is nice too. Foam. It does what it needs to. Carries your battery, cables. That's about it. But it's nice to just slap it in there, put it in your backpack. But then, if you really want to go on a trip where you don't want your stuff all over the place, case like this. It's a watertight case. Your remote goes here. Batteries, cables, and it's watertight. And that's exactly what I mean by third-party support. This is not DJI brand, as you can see. Okay, there's a lot of cases like this on Amazon. And just to elaborate on what I mean by third-party support, you can buy different color propellers. Not that I recommend it, but I'm just saying, if you want to be unique, you can buy colored propellers, or what you want to call these, okay? Blades, propellers. Yeah, you can buy different color. You can change this cover to I've seen green, I've seen blue. Not like a Mavic Air where you're stuck with the color you bought, right? You can change this. You can personalize it, basically. You can buy landing skids that raises this thing up, so when you land, you have more clearance, so it's not hitting your gimbal. I've even seen people put noodles on this thing, so it can, you know, in case you have an accident when you're trying to fly over water, that it'll float instead of sink to the ground. There's so many things you can get for this third-party wise. It opens up a whole new door. A lot of third-party support. Gotta love it for that, right? If anything. Okay, and the biggest thing that people will dog this thing, and you know, is about it won't film in 4K, or it's not a 3-axis gimbal. I'm not gonna bore you with the details, because that's all over on YouTube. You probably heard it over and over, and that's why I'm coming out with this video, so try to, you know, so you have a different angle, instead of, you know, have all this negativity towards this thing, that you just totally shut out all the positives. But okay, it's not a 3-axis gimbal, but it's steady enough for me, for what it does, okay? And the 4K thing, this is where it torques me a lot, because people are always, got a hard on for 4K. Okay, not all of us right now, I can say that with all my friends that I've known, not all of us are in a 4K yet. Not all of us have 4K TVs or a computer that can handle 4K or can render or edit videos that are 4K. Not all of us is there yet. So why do you want a 4K drone? This drone is actually recording 1080p, 60 frames per second. It's fine. It's a selfie drone. That's what it's intended for. You know, not if you're going into more cinematic 4K stuff, yeah, get a bigger drone, but that's not what it's designed for. Okay, so if you're on the fence of buying this thing and you're, that's not a deal breaker. Just don't hate it because it's not 4K or it's not a three-axis gimbal. This gimbal works great. It does what it does. Okay, and another major thing that I just want to bring out that I mentioned already, but people always come up, ask me every time I'm flying, how far does it go? All I gotta say to you, those of you who have this thing with distance, okay, do your homework. Really do your homework. The FAA regulations, your state regulations, is supposed to fly. Sorry, let me say that again. You're supposed to fly within the line of sight. Okay, how many of you can, see a mile and a half your drone, exactly what orientation and all that? Okay, my point being, if you have this thing with distance, like you want a drone that goes 5 miles an hour, don't let that be an icebreaker, because this is a selfie drone, and as long as I've owned it, I've never really flown or I have the need to fly over a mile away, unless you're like into mountain climbing, you gotta fly all the way around the mountain or something. Uh, but I'm just exaggerating, but just trying to bring my point across. Okay, don't let the distance thing sway you, or if you're on the fence about this thing. Okay, a mile and a half is plenty. That's with the remote. Again, yeah, that's just an average, depending on how many of interference you got. But with all the regulations and all these haters, you're just going to attract more attention to yourself the farther you go. So just keep it within the line of sight. So, having said that, perfect. Mile and a half, right? Mile. You don't need to really go farther than that. Anyway, before this gets too long, guys, that's all I wanted to say is give this thing a second thought. If you're on the fence of buying this drone, don't let, don't let all those bashers trying to sway you to think otherwise, because this is a perfect drone. It's really stable, third party support. It's small enough, not intimidating, a lot of benefits. I love it. Buy it, try it. If you don't like it, return it. Just don't break it, right? All right, gotta go.